Hello, people of God. This is my Jacob's Way TV, and I'm Dupe Dupe Singer. This is episode 160. I started, I promised to start a story today from my last episode. Uh, Two guys came to the church under the tree one day. And they introduced themselves. I preached to them. Usually preach to everybody. They went away. They came back the next Sunday. And after the service, the next Sunday, one of them came close to me and said to me that he wanted to see me. Usually, people are asking to see me because they want money. So I was already hoping that he was going to talk about money. But he told me that he heard that I had a farm, that the ministry had a farm, and that he is a good farmer. He's from Plateau State, and that he's very good at farming. That he will want to be at the farm, he will want to be one of the people at the farm. As at that time, we had packed up farming temporarily because the guys that I took to Lagos had shown me pepper. That is the way the Nigerian will say when we say something, talking about we had seen some kind of trouble. But there was one of the guys that went from Lagos to Lagos that was still holding fort, keeping our farming implements in Lagos. The guy pressurized me a little. Do you still have all the things that we used to farm? I said yes. And then he told me the story of his life. And I think that was one of the things that endeared me to him. He said he was selling pepper and tomatoes and all that in at my 12 market. I was doing well. But because he's originally a farmer, he thought to himself that if he will go home and do his own farming by himself, he will make extra money. He will make more money than if he was collecting it from somebody else. So he um, spoke to his wife, and the wife agreed that he could go away for a while she will hold forth for him here in Lagos. He told me that by the time he returned the third month, somebody else had taken his wife away from him. And when he was talking to me at this point, he broke down crying. I did something that I normally don't do. I was so moved to compassion, or in compassion, or to compassion, that I hugged him. He was crying so much. For a man to cry like that. And he said that he had become the laughing stock of people. Excuse me, in this village where he went to farm, excuse me, and of course in the my 12 markets where he was selling. So he wanted out. He wanted to be somewhere that nobody would disturb him or worry him. He said he wanted to hide himself in his work and make something good out of it. I understand. I still understand. I understood and I still understand that kind of feeling. I told him, well, I didn't even have money enough. I didn't have enough money to send him to Lagos. Even though all I would have needed that time would have been like 2,000 naira, or at the very worst 5,000 naira. I didn't have money. So I told him, let's wait till the time that the Lord will provide. While we were waiting, he was calling me and reminding me, Mommy, please don't forget. Mommy, please don't forget. For the first time, I seem to have found somebody who was willing to work And I'm telling you the story of farming from behind. It's not the beginning. I'm telling you the end of the story. After I finish telling you the story from the end, I will start from the beginning. It's funny, but that is the way I want to go. Please follow me. So one day I was called by somebody else. I was told that this guy, whose name is Albert, his name is Albert, had been raided by the police. You know, when you stay on the when you stay on the streets, the police can raid you at any time. They will have warned people to stop sleeping on the streets. But if they refuse to hear, one day the police will go and pack them and send them to one prison yard for about 6 months. He was raided and he was in detention. I was scared for him. The first day he told me his story, I came back home. I woke up in the middle of the night. I prayed for him, prayed because I carried his burden. And then when I heard that he had been raided and was in detention, I was even more scared for him. I prayed for him. And I was afraid that the man that took his wife might have orchestrated his detention. And suddenly, I thought that suddenly, may we not hear that he died in detention. All these things were going through my mind, and I felt that I must help him out of the problem. If he hadn't told me his problems, maybe I would not have been in the position to help him. Even though he's from Plateau State, he's also Hausa speaking. So I called Paul, my son, Paul Onyilo, who who became a lawyer, you know, by God's grace, who was also a street guy, who became a lawyer. I called him and said, Paul, what are we going to do? Is there a way you can try and go and find this man and bail him out? But we will need money. And I didn't have money. So I just asked you, is it every time I kept God's commandments of do not beg, do not ask anybody for help? I said no, it's not all the time. There are some times that I felt I couldn't wait for God, even though I suffered it later. So I called my first daughter. I said to her, this is the problem I was facing. I'm just scared for this guy. I don't know. I guess maybe she mentioned it to somebody else. I don't know. Money just came out anyway. And I sent Paul to go and look for him. It's funny. At that point, we wanted Paul to go and look for him. I can't remember his surname. He didn't. We never even talk about surname. You know, people have asked me before, well, do you know where these people come from? Do you know their villages? Do you know their addresses in case they get into trouble and they come and look for you? I said, well, God did not ask me to go and look for all those details. He who has sent me on an errand has kept me all this while, even though it's a bit of a dangerous one. So we didn't know his surname. Then at a time, we didn't even know the place, the detention camp. You know, there are so many of them spread all over Nigeria. So I started praying again, Lord, you must send us help. And then suddenly he called me from nowhere one day. I asked him, how did you remember my telephone number? Somehow he was that smart that I don't know why, I don't know how. He had memorized my telephone number and was able to tell us exactly where he was. And Paul went to get him. It was not difficult for Paul and himself to get on very well because Paul also speaks Hausa, you know. And Paul, in his very kind nature, I said to me, Mommy, before this guy will go to the farm, I don't think I want him to stay on the streets again. That he will not be raided again. So he decided to house him. It's not the first time that Paul will house some of the boys on the streets. He housed Nicholas Bulabula. once for quite a long time. So when they came that day, I was excited. I was happy for him. At least he came back alive. And my own theory of the fact that maybe it was the man that took his wife that wanted to put him in trouble. Excuse me. Obviously, that theory did not hold water. So Paul took him home and settled him and fed him and made him feel good. When it was about 2 weeks after, or a little less, that the Lord provided money for me to send Albert on his way to Lagoon. This story is very interesting. Hmm. I don't know how I survived the onslaught. Sometimes I don't know how to speak English anymore. Forgive me if I don't say the right word. But I really don't mind to make mistakes because I'm not perfect. Ah, hmm. This pepper that I saw, is even bigger than the pepper of the other 13 young men that had gone earlier. It's not even what you are thinking about. You don't even know how the pepper came. And so, if you want to know how the pepper came and what happened after, I think you should watch the next episode and the next episode until the story is finished. Hmm. I asked in the last episode before this one, or maybe I didn't ask. Maybe I should ask that now. If your mentor says do something and God tells you don't do it, who are you going to listen to? Your mentor says do it and God says don't do it. Who are you supposed to listen to? Well, who did I listen to? And what did I bring back from it? Hmm. Just keep going. We shall see the conclusion of the matter. This is my Jacob's Way TV. I'm Dupi Dupi Singer. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, call somebody else to watch. Be an evangelist, and God bless you. Bye bye.